we could have had a really important moment in this parliament this morning. We could have stood up from all the different political parties that we represent, from all of the areas of our beautiful country that we represent, and made a really strong statement about what our democracy means to us. And it is enormously disappointing to me that we have people like the member for Barara, who I think has huge respect usually on this side of the chamber, come up and give a speech like that, pretending that this doesn't matter. And this is the thing that I cannot fathom about this entire debate that we have had about the conduct of the member for Cook, is the willingness of those opposite me to continuously play this down when they know that this matters. They know that this matters because we take an oath as members of parliament to come to this chamber and represent and protect our communities, and the member for Cook failed to do that, not just in his capacity as a member of parliament, but in his capacity as Prime Minister. Now, we are learning some things about our parliament this morning, and one of those is that the member for Cook still does not believe that he has done anything wrong. How is it possible that the member for Cook still cannot do the right thing by this parliament? We see 15 minutes of obfuscation of excuses, nonsensical excuses, Deputy Speaker, that do not justify in any way the conduct that was undertaken. Why can the member for Cook not see what the Australian people need from him at this moment, which is an apology, some amount of reflection about his conduct, and a willingness to take responsibility for what he did wrong? Those are normal human reactions, but that is what the nation demands of its national leaders at this time, and he has utterly failed to do it. Now, the modern Liberal Party, I don't know what to say to this political party, because this morning they have foolishly indulged and enabled the member for Cook simply because he is of their breed, and that is wrong. The behaviour this morning from that party has been bizarre, it has been craven and disappointing. This is a party that's meant to be about conventions, about protecting things that matter, about protecting institutions and protecting our democracy. And what we are seeing is not only that this political party will not support a motion which would have made a clear public statement about the meaning of democracy, but they line up to shake the member for Cook's hand after he's spoken. What sort of message does that send about how much they value this institution versus their political interests? Now, I should not have to explain to the parliament why this matters, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the implications for my portfolio in Home Affairs. Now, the member for Cook said that he gave us a long description about COVID and how stressful things were during COVID and how difficult they were during COVID. He swore himself in as the Minister for Home Affairs in May 2021. If there has been a period of calm in the last 3 years, it was May 2021. And yet he decided to swear himself in as Minister for Home Affairs, which without question could have placed our country at a serious national security risk. There is no question about that. My department runs national security issues in this country. The member for Cook appointing himself as Minister for Home Affairs also made himself the dual head of ASIO, of the Australian Federal Police. He did not tell the public servants in my department that he had done that. So what would have happened, Deputy Speaker, if we had had a significant terrorist attack during the period where we had 2 Ministers for Home Affairs? Can the member for Cook not see that would have created a national security crisis for our country? 2 ministers who would probably have had 2 different views about how to run a crisis. And we had this situation go on for a year. Now, the member for Cook says that he never intended to exercise these powers. Well, why did he swear himself into the portfolio? And in fact, he mentioned in his address that there were certain things about national security that only he, as the Prime Minister, could understand. Well, there's the old saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we saw it here this morning in these justifications. Now, there are lots of political issues that we deal with in this parliament, and people give serious speeches sometimes about things that are not serious. This is not one of those issues. And I would just say again to those opposite, there are fundamental tenets of our democracy that have been broken here. We are the 6th oldest democracy in the world. We are, I think, the best quality democracy in the world. We have compulsory voting. We're one of the first countries to have women having the right to vote. We have an amazing system here that is a critical asset for us as we face into some very difficult challenges that we will face in the coming decades. And yet the opposite party come in here this morning and degrade our democracy, and they're willing to see it trampled on and debased by the member for Cook, and not only not willing to do anything to say that that's wrong, but to line up and shake his hand afterwards. Well, Speaker, we owe our constituents much better than that, and that is why I'm supporting the censure motion today.